All right. Well, today I've got something very important to do. I have a hospital visit to do for an old friend, and it's one of the biggest joys and one of the greatest responsibilities of being a preacher is having to, go visit people in the hospital, people that I care for and have a relationship with, and just trying to, be a witness to people when they're hurting is something that's very important to me, and it's something that should be very important to pastors wherever we go. Whoever the pastor is, regardless of the responsibilities, there should be time that should be taken for hospitals. But visiting people when they're sick isn't just something that pastors should do. It's not just something that pastors should be responsible for. We all have people in our lives who are hurting. We all have people in our lives who get sick and they go to the hospital. And even before I was ordained to the ministry, it was really important to me to be able to have the chance to go to people who I cared about, and when they were in the hospital, to minister to them. Because it's not just something for the people who are in the ordained ministry. It's something that everybody should be doing. Hospitals in particular are a Christian concept. A lot of people don't realize it, but before there was a Christianity, before Christ came to this world, there really wasn't much in the way of doctors. There wasn't really much in the way of hospitals. You had a system in the ancient world where if you got sick, you would go to a pagan prophetess or a prophet, and these witch doctors, these shamans would say some mumbo jumbo over you, and they would cast some spells, and they would do whatever they did. And sometimes, a lot of the times, they made the patient worse. And there was that big element of false hope that the shamans gave. And that false hope that the shamans and the witch doctors did, they did in the name of God, or their gods. Most of them were polytheistic. But even in the polytheistic system, most of the time, the witch doctors and the different people, they had a sense of an overall God who controlled their gods. And when you went to the witch doctor, sometimes the psychosomatic healing worked. That's why sometimes doctors today will give somebody a placebo, just because if you get something in your system and it makes you feel like you're going to get healed, that, well, you feel better. But I think one of the real reasons why the first commandment, have no other gods before the Lord, I really think that one of the reasons why God hates idolatry so much is because the false gods of the shamans, the false gods of the idol worshippers, gave people a bad taste for religion. They gave people a bad taste for the promises of religion. And when the witch doctors and when the shamans of old would make up their gods, and when they would make up false hope for the people, and when it was exposed that what they were doing was giving people false hope, then it gave people a bad sense of religion, and it gave people a bad sense of who God really was. And that's a very dangerous thing, because when people reject God and they reject the means that we have of salvation, they reject the means that we have of grace and peace through Christ, and when people make up all these false religions, when people make up all this false hope that they were feeding the sick in the ancient world, it really exposes why idolatry is so bad. But hospitals, the idea of caring for the sick is a very uniquely Christian idea. And I say that because it's Christians that created the whole system of hospitals, of staying with the sick, regardless of the risk of infection. In the ancient world, if you got sick, you were out on your own. You just got sent out of the community because you were like a leper. And, well, a lot of the times it was because you were a leper. But the Christians didn't care if you were a leper. The Christians showed people that regardless of who you are, we'll love you. Regardless of who you are, we'll take care of you. And many people were able to see the truth of Christianity because of that powerful witness, because of that powerful commitment that the early Christians had to take care of the sick. And those early examples of taking care of the sick, those early examples of taking care of the needy are represented today in hospitals all across the world. I mean, all across the world, you still have good Samaritan hospitals representative of the Christian hope, representative of the Christian ideal that in Christ there's hope, that in Christ there's that love, there's that joy that comes with just taking care of the sick, showing the power of God through taking care of the sick is a very important part of visitation ministry, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about visitation ministry. Is I just love sharing the love of God with people, because when people are hurting, when people are grieving, there's a particular need that they have to be witnessed to. There's a particular need that they have to know that God still loves them, that God still cares. And we need to take care of the people when they're grieving. As Christians, it should be very important to us. And it's my hope that going forward that you will make it more important to witness to those who are grieving, to witness to those who are hurting. I'm going to quit here because of the rain.